from just completely unhinged, all caps, mile long post on Truth Social.
When does he not go a mile long? And he's always unhinged.
I know, but
He gets on my nerves. He makes me sick. I'm sick, sick, sick of him.
like he's calling half of the country scum on Memorial Day. He's calling my dad scum on Memorial Day. I mean, I understand that Memorial Day is to honor the fallen. Trust me, I get that one. But all those service.
He has no couth, no decorum. I'm sick of him. I'm totally sick of him. He goes on these crazy rants. He delivers like weird speeches for the most inappropriate times.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Give me a quote from from
Yeah.
Memorial Day's
This one.
ridiculous.
And as he was speaking and making no sense, Pete Hegseth and JD Vance were behind him. Just
Because they think he's crazy too. They just don't ever say it, but they know he's crazy.
but they'll be like, oh, the sun was in his eye. Okay, so here we go. Do you just want some of the highlights or do you want the whole thing?
No, just some highlights. I don't think I could stomach the whole thing. I think the whole
Okay.
thing would just make me sick.
Yeah. Well, so it starts off with Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country through warped radical left minds. He then uh, allowed 21 million, all the way out, but then wrote million people. And then, they allowed illegally enter our country. He's back on the whole mentally insane, doesn't understand that seeking asylum is different than being in an insane asylum. I know you think it's all propaganda, but I truly think some of these little things might be a little sign of something.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mixture. I do think it is propaganda. I think it is consciously set up for a couple things: to sow discord and lay the breadcrumbs to invalidate our judicial system. I think he is totally, totally working to undermine the judicial system. But it also, in my good sis Stacy's terminology, he's giving the window licker something to hold on to.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, because then he goes into all protected by the U.S. hating judges who suffer from an ideology that is sick and very dangerous for our country. Hopefully, here we go. Hopefully, the United States Supreme Court and other good and compassionate judges throughout the land will save us from the decisions of the monsters who want our country to go to hell. He continues. That's not the end, but
Oh, no, he is totally sowing discord and undermining the system. And the window lickers will repeat that. Oh, the judges are bad, and they'll regurgitate some of that.
well, and it's a double whammy because now all the judges are looking at that. Like, there are gonna be some that are like, oh,
Bullshit, that's bad.
because it's almost like a threat to them. Like, you better fall in line, otherwise I'm gonna stick all of my window lickers on you.
I think it is so judges. I think it's a very small subset of judges that really believe that, and that
Mhm.
when they got elevated to the bench, especially particularly federal judges, right? Because they get lifetime appointments. They did not get those appointments and be like, "Oh, I'm going to be this activist judge and I'm going to stick it to the libs. I'm going to stick it to the conservatives." I don't think any judge either way,
Right.
most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they're
There's
not.
always gonna be a bad apple.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So, but for the most part, I don't think the judges are thinking that way, right? But this is some very, very dangerous rhetoric on the part of the president. And whether a judge leans very conservative, or it doesn't matter where they are on the spectrum, right? On the political spectrum, in their own personal ideology.
Right. Like when they
They
get up on that bench.
they should be scared, because this whole thing is a threat to their livelihood. It is a threat to what they know. They could end up getting their positions dismantled behind this fool and his rhetoric. As I said, and their powers are going to be limited, because we're waiting on this Supreme Court case to be decided as to whether judges have the ability to issue nationwide
Yeah.
injunctions. And
Or just state by state.
let's be clear though, karma's gonna spin the block, baby. And when it spins the block, they're gonna hate. They're going to regret doing all of this. They're absolutely gonna regret it.
Yeah.
because what goes around comes around. So I saw that related but unrelated, Dick Durbin, right, cited the fact that then Senator J.D. Vance held up some of Biden's U.S. attorney nominations during, I think, the back half of the Biden term, right? Because
Yeah.
he felt a way about Biden and I think some of the things that were happening. Well, Dick Durbin said, well, now. I'm going to hold up all of Trump's U.S. attorney nominations. And then Senator, now Vice President, J.D. Vance set the precedent for this. Republicans are like, oh, no, that wasn't a president. You're holding up all the things and you're just trying to cripple the criminal justice system. Karma, baby. Karma. It spins the block. And sometimes it can bite you in the tail a little bigger, take a bigger bite than you imagined. I think Vance held up 1, 2, 3. Durbin said, I think we're just going to put a hold on all of them. The precedence has been set. So, they better be careful about all of these things they're putting in place because listen, things may be bad now, but it will not last. It doesn't matter. Just as chattel slavery didn't last, Holocaust didn't things that are horrible, they are horrible. They should never happen, right? Nothing should happen, right? To jeopardize our freedoms or anything. However, history has shown even the worst things do not last. What goes around will eventually come back around. Try as they might to try to prevent it, it's going to come back. When it does, turnabout, I believe, is going to be fair play. And while some of these senior senators and Congress people who are dying in office to our peril, that's a whole other subject. I'm
I was
sorry. I'm
just
not.
about to be like, can we kind of like scoot off on that? Because
That is like, it will all come back. It comes back. It circles back around. It does not matter. It's what did Denzel Washington say in Remember the Titans? It's just like Novocaine. Just give it time. Just give it time. It's gonna work. It's gonna work.
I'm like, I understand this whole idea of seniority and you have to pay your dues and da da da. Da. And I'll be perfectly honest. Like, do I always love AOC? No. No, I don't always agree with her
Mhm.
politically. However, she is a strong, smart voice. And, I find it hard. It's like we have a congressperson with cancer, but they have seniority, so we're gonna and now look where we are.
I know, because did you see there was an article that talked about the fact that the big beautiful bill would have not passed the House, except 3 Democrats died in office, basically of old age. They died in office, and had those seats been filled, the bill would have failed.
Well, the one passed from cancer, but he knew he had cancer when he ran for reelection.
But this is the thing. So the Mitch McConnells of the world, he should have stepped down a long time ago and not reran or a year or two into his term when he realized, hey, my health just isn't great. Step down. So
Wait,
a bunch of these people think, I guess they're under the impression, and maybe they have perks we don't know about, the honor of dying while in office, right? It burns my goat because listen, you're not really helping serve your country. You're not doing us any favors, especially in this current political climate. I need you to, if you're older than 65, 70, and I know 65 isn't our mother's or grandmother's 65, but it's still 65. Go right off into the sunset. If you're able to collect Social Security, you don't have any business serving in Congress. Go away.
yeah,
Go.
we have to end Citizens United and put some age limits. I mean, you can't. There are age limits the other direction, right? You can't be like 16 and running for.
President. Absolutely. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I really, really wish there were either term limits or both term limits and or age limits because we're not doing ourselves any favors. And I think it's time for younger,
Yeah.
I'm at the older end of if I were a congressperson serving, I need to serve maybe 5 more years and then I need to pass
Mhm,
the baton and
mhm.
do that with honor. There is honor in passing down legacy, grooming your successor, leading, mentoring in mind with someone to succeed you.
Yeah.
There could be
And
value in that.
and not only that, but it's not like we don't have some absolute rock stars in those like freshman and sophomore ranks.
Exactly. And I think there are other young people, people in their 30s, in their 40s, who are hungry for change and are ready to lead, could
Yeah,
serve, ready to serve, more so than lead, but ready to serve. And I think those people should be afforded the opportunity. I really do. I think that we're doing ourselves a huge, huge disservice on both sides of the aisle.
absolutely. This part goes totally beyond. I mean, but you look at people like Chris Murphy. He's fantastic. And he is out. Like, can we have him more?
And I think we'd get some more common sense legislation if we allowed some younger people to serve. I think we get a little bit more common sense on both sides of the aisle. Again, both sides of the aisle. I don't think this is limited to just Democrats. I miss the days of
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
centrist
well, 'cause
politicians.
when you say both sides, I start to think about some of the young Republicans, and there's
I mean, we have some very, very radically left folks too that scare me. And to be honest, I think many of them, and this is a probably a topic for a different day, the extremes of both parties, but
Mhm.
I'm concerned about some of those radically on the left because I'm not sure they have my best interests at heart.
Yeah, I agree. Then, and I know where you're going with this.
So,
I'm looking at you, Bernie and Bernie Bros.
so yeah, so that's a whole other.
Like, I think that's like that is an a collective. That is a long conversation.
I think that's a very long conversation on political extremism on both sides of the aisle and what happened to more moderate or centrist politicians who could reach across the aisle, no matter what the side, to come to some common ground and put country over party. Now we put party over country, and that has been to our detriment.
Yeah, I think back when I hear about people who served years ago, right? Like, right now, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking about Joe Scarborough. Like, he's spoken about it, but about how they like used to go out for steak dinner after duking it out on the floor. And then they'd have genuine conversations and try to find common ground over dinner, right? But like now, it just seems to be all about grandstanding and charging their side.
Yeah, riling up the base instead
Mhm.
of really trying to speak to independents or folks who are a bit more centrist. Because, truth be told, I'm a bit more centrist. And a lot of times my vote has been against something as opposed to for something, which is a dangerous position to be put in.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I understand the consequences of not voting. And I think a lot of people don't because they're like, neither side appeals to me. But, sometimes we have to take a stand and say, I cannot vote for this. So, because of the way our system is set up, I'm voting for that. But that is a whole, which brings me, we didn't plan on this one, but I'm going to roll it into the next thing. Which brings me to the fact that Harvard
Mm.
offering some free classes essentially on American civics. I'm here for it. I would love a civics brush up. And I'm going to brush up on my Schoolhouse Rock as well
Yeah.
because I love that. But I am loving Harvard, the shadiness of it all from
Harvard
Harvard.
energy.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm looking forward. I'm going to take those free classes because it does not hurt me to brush up on some
Same.
things.
Well, and you never know who might be in the class with you because the Princess of Belgium now isn't sure she can finish her degree at Harvard. So
Foreign students,
monarchies are being,
and he's great.
yeah. So let's piss off a monarch, but that's fine. So thanks, Harvard. Loving your energy. Real
I'm looking forward to, saying I'm enrolled in a class at Harvard.
deep. I mean, it's just giving real.
But listen, I love the fact that Harvard's like, you know what, we're going to offer these classes to try to uphold our democracy and the integrity of our democracy, teaching folks the basis for our democracy. Kind of like the cherry on top of the week after I kind of read about that. And then I saw today Fed Chairman Jerome Powell gives a pre-graduation speech to the the good graduates at Princeton, another Ivy,
And his alma mater.
and talks to them about integrity, upholding the standards of democracy, doing the right thing. He's been very, very quiet as Trump has attacked him and the rest of the Fed for not lowering interest rates. And,
Man bankrupted a casino. Why in the hell would we listen to him about
casinos are very, very difficult to bankrupt because the
impossible?
odds are stacked in the house's favor. The odds are
I will
stacked in the house's
never,
favor.
that one will never stop just making me crazy. Bankrupted a fucking casino, and now he's like, I know more than the Fed chair who went to fucking Princeton.
Meanwhile, he's waging a war with Harvard because I saw he's threatening to try to take grants from them now. He's really ratcheting up the pressure. But I applaud Harvard for not backing down. And let's be clear, they've got the private endowment to witstand the pressure because, depending on how the next presidential election goes, they have enough money to outlast the government, to outlast the government for a little bit. So I applaud them, and they're suing and all that. But I applaud Fed Chairman Powell for standing his ground. I applaud the Fed for maintaining its independence, right? Because he is trying to pressure the Fed to lower interest rates, right? Which
Right. Has been for a few weeks now.
yeah, I think since the beginning.
I'm,
and
just
he's tried to
pretend like-
personally attack Powell and all this, and I am, and the Fed is like, hey, this isn't what they said, but I feel like this is what they said. Hey, you crazy fool. You keep digging with tariffs, so you're causing uncertainty in the economic market. So you're forcing us to sit back and make sure the economy doesn't collapse. So we can't lower interest rates, dum-dum.
Yeah.
By chance, you would quit messing around with tariffs and you had just left the economy as it was, we probably would have given you your lowered interest rate. However,
There's a however.
we can't. You're stuck like Chuck.
Yeah, and then it's
So be big mad. We're not lowering the interest rates right now. We're holding steady, buddy. Holding steady. So 2 snaps for you, Fed Chairman.
sorry, Jerome.
I love it.
Also, maybe get some extra security.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
still.
That's where we are, folks. That is where we are in the craziness of it all. Got a president who doesn't truly honor Memorial Day. He also gave a wackadoo speech at West Point. Sure, those cadets will forever remember that. Trophy wives and got a divorce. Guess you could say I got a trophy wife. Graduations. Who spoke at your graduation? How was your graduation speech? Graduation speech revolved around trophy wives.
Where did you go to school? West Point.
An elite military academy. Elite. And we got a top tier graduation speech. Top tier.
We're in the upside down universe. So, we'll see you on Friday.
More craziness.
I'm just praying that I don't just continuously crash out because some of this shit is just absolutely fucking insane.
Ma'am,
But-
don't crash out. We still got a ways to go. We not even 6 months in this thing. We still have a ways to go.
That was rude.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. We'll see you on Friday. And remember to stay loud, stay opinionated, and as always,
Baby, add us later. You can add us later.
bye, friends. That's a wrap on this episode of At Me Later. We drop new bite-sized episodes packed with news and sass every Tuesday and Friday. So make sure you're following us wherever you get your podcasts. And because we love validation, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, and drop a comment to let us know what you think. It helps us more than you know. At Me Later is an A Collective production, and we'll be back in your ears soon. But until then, stay loud, stay opinionated, and as always, at us later. God damn.
For more craziness.
Yeah. Great. That was fun. Well, and I don't know if you've noticed, we have the ticker that goes by every episode.
I
so
do. I have noticed the
Yeah.
ticker that's going.
I figured
You know,
kind
why
of
not?
dreadful, then hopeful, then just like life.
But we have a
So-
ways to go, baby. Ways to go.
Yeah. But
Am I opening again this season?
Who else is gonna do it?
I mean, it's either you or our creepy new narrator guy.
Hey, that was rude. Anyway, the A Collective is back. Thursdays, wherever you like your podcasts.
Yeah, let's get it.